way. Certainly an orphan, a widow, by no fault of their own. People that are, you figure if you're wandering, and if you look at where Israel was located in antiquity, it's the only natural land bridge connecting North Africa, Asia, and Europe. If you have one or two people that are wandering through that land bridge, they're escaping something, you know. And here you happen upon individuals who, through circumstances, find themselves beaten. The exhortation in biblical literature is to be kindly disposed. Now, my question that I put to the literature is this reflected in the Newer Testament as well? I want to look at two swatches of text on the quick. The first of which is we'll look in the book of Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, or Matachahu is the Hebrew name for him. And I want to look in what's called the Sermon on the Mount. And I'm not all in love with the term Sermon on the Mount, because sermon sounds kind of boring. But it's here where Yeshua in Matthew 5, 6, and 7, Jesus is in effect giving the constitution for the new economy. The constitution for the new economy. And he's saying this is the way it's got to be. Now, he's talking here about money as well. If you will, look in Matthew, please, chapter 6, verse 19. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in or steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. I understand him to be saying, don't be overly invested where everything is in this life. Jesus tells the story of a man that built barns and bigger barns and bigger barns. And what it's all about, you know, the modus operandi for males in the species in secular culture is he who dies with the most toys wins. You know, that it's all about acquiring toys. Now, I don't mind nice things, personally. You know, it's hard work in life. I'm going to be 69 in November. The house is paid for. The kids are grown. I have a few dollars. So a couple years ago, I bought the newest Corvette that came out, the C8, the rear-engine Corvette. And I just, in fact, I knew I wanted it. I went to the dealer to get it. Before the dealers had it, they didn't even have paperwork for it. But there's something about going in there and waving a $10,000 check where you wind up just, okay, mister, we take you seriously. And I got that C8 Corvette custom from the factory exactly the way I wanted it. And I got it delivered from the factory. It was the first batch of C8 Corvettes that came into the Dallas area, the rear engine model. And I loved it. But then I had it, and I thought, you know, a few things prevailed upon me, not least of which was Barry was having trouble. She was having hip issues at the time. She's since got a new one. It's a little harder to get in and out of the car. It's a sports car. It's low. Plus, I'm thinking, you know, I have enough status symbols in my life that you know, I can divest myself of all the goodies, sort of things. And so what I did is I took it and sold it, made a few dollars on it. And I had a Jeep, an old Jeep, and I sold it, made a few dollars on it, went and bought a new Jeep. I don't need a status symbol. But the point is that, you know, everything in life, everything that you earn in life doesn't need to be invested in the things of this life, because rust accumulates, things break. You know, they're perishable. I know I got this new Jeep, and I remember specifically the salesman said, listen, we have a whole new kind of windshield here. They're impervious to stones. Don't worry, you know, you're going to love it. Okay, I had that Jeep for 3 months, and it cracked. So I took it back to the dealer, So finally I got it rectified. They took care of it. They got a new windshield, put it on there, went a few more months, pebble, stone, crack. Now there's a big crack. So every time I get into the car to drive it, there's 3 of those little cracks right there that I have to look through to find the road. I'm going to get around to getting a new windshield. But the point is stuff breaks.
Amen.
It doesn't not happen. And Yeshua says here, listen, don't lay up all your stuff in heaven, all your stuff on earth, because, there's the rust, and the this and that. It's perishable. He says something, if you look in verse 24, I want to skip, but I'm interested in what I skipped over. There's another money story. He says in verse 24, no one can serve 2 masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will stick by the one and look down on the other. You cannot serve God and money. It's kind of like a hard saying. We're beckoned to make a choice. He goes on, by the way, in verse 25, I say to you, don't worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Isn't life more than food and the body more than clothing? And he goes on and talks about it in the culminating verse. He says, seek first, if you look in verse 33, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Put God first and seek him and follow his principles. And you'll find that your life's going to work out. The things that you worry about. Am I going to find the money? Am I going to find love? Am I going to this or that? Whatever. Seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. So we're looking at a swatch of text where Yeshua is on record, where Jesus is on record talking about us in relationship to earthly stuff. I skipped over a section because it looks like it's out of place. And I want to just read it and play it like it's out of place, and then I'll show you how it really isn't. You'll see in verses 19 through 21, don't store for yourself things on earth. In verse 24, you can't serve 2 masters. If you look in verse 22, what's sandwiched right in the middle of that, he says, the eye is the lamp of the body. Therefore, if your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your body will be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? I mean, it sounds really cryptic. What's he talking about? Now he's an ophthalmologist. He's talking about money beforehand. Don't lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. Does that. And then there's the eye doctor talk. If the eye is full of light, if it's dark, the body's dark. And then he goes on, you can't serve 2 masters. And then he goes on, don't worry about the things of this life and money and stuff. Now, it seems prima facie, face value, this business that's inserted in the middle of it, when he says, the eye is the lamp of the body, therefore if your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. It can beg the question, what does that have to do with anything? It seems out of context. It isn't. I want you to go to Proverbs chapter 28, verse 22, if you will. And I want to show you something that kind of puts it all together, in my opinion. What do I say? Proverbs
28.
28, 22. Actually 27. He says, one who gives to the poor will not lack, but he who shuts his eyes will have many curses. One who shuts his eyes. One who gives to the poor will not lack, but one who shuts his eyes. It's noted a few times in Proverbs that to be kindly disposed is to have a good eye. It's to open your eye. It's to be willing to see